Hi, I'm Travis Yussef. Welcome to Access Spotlight. Today, we're sitting down with Richard Big Daddy Salgado of Coastal Advisors, LLC. Big Daddy, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's just jump right in. Talk to us a little bit about your early life.
Well, my life is real. It's kind of funny when you share it with people, because here I am, I'm born, but then I end up moving at like 3 months or 4 months old to Lima, Peru.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I lived there with my grandmother till I'm 6 years old. Then I moved back to New York.
Okay.
And we grew up in Corona, Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And, both my parents were immigrants. And, my father worked his tail off to have the American dream, get out of the city or the, Queens area and get a house in Long Island.
Absolutely.
So 5th grade, we moved out to New Hyde Park.
Great.
And I went to New Hyde Park Road School.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. My house was a block away, so we would cut through the yard just to get to, school.
Sure,
and,
yeah.
The first guy that lived there in the one house, he was not too keen on that, but then he moved and the other people didn't care. But then I went on to New Hyde Park Memorial, so I'm very familiar, obviously, with the North Shore. And,
Sure.
New Hyde Park has always been home. I don't live there currently, but I spent quite a bit of time there.
Yeah. It's a great community, great town. I myself have only just moved there about 5 years ago now, so it's really just a beautiful part of Long Island.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's close enough to the city, but far enough.
Exactly.
That's what I like about it.
For sure. 30-minute train ride, you hop right on the New Hyde Park station. So.
And now that the Grand Central Station's open.
And that's great too.
Oh, I've been using that thing quite a bit lately.
Yeah.
I like it. Simple, no traffic, smooth ride, and you walk into a new building. So that escalator is a long. I actually walked it twice now. And
okay.
The first time was not as successful as the second time.
Yeah.
You're at the top and you're like,
yep.
Give me an oxygen
Totally.
mask. But it's a good workout.
It is. I actually had timed it once. If I just stood there on there, I think it takes about a minute and a half
to get from the
bottom to the top if you're not walking.
Yeah.
But that is quite a steep.
It is a
walk. But that's awesome though. It's so great that they have that, because that saves a lot of people time.
Oh, I used to have to go, like, let's say I would go to Penn Station, then walk a block and get on the F train to go uptown.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get to Grand Central and boom, you're already where you need to be.
Yep. Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah, that's great. So talk to me about what inspired you to pursue a career in sports.
Well, in New Hyde Park growing up, we were so successful in a lot of sports. And it's funny, my class, we had so many guys that went on to play college sports.
Okay.
So it was kind of like embedded, when I was younger, I was in 7th grade, I was a water boy. And so I was surrounded already by it.
Sure.
And then it just kind of was like, you see these guys get recruited by these big schools. And you said, man, that would be cool. I wish that would be me one day. And long and behold, here I am. I'm on my way to Maryland to play football on a football scholarship.
Awesome.
So when that all ended, a friend of mine said to me, why don't you come work in the insurance business? Because I'm going to target the sports world.
Okay.
And I said, sure, yeah, it sounds pretty cool. Well, I did it, and he quits on me after I go and get all these licenses and designations. Okay. So now I use the example, I'm standing in the middle of MetLife Stadium with no one in the stadium, looking up going, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I had such a fortunate growing up being around sports, and even at the professional level, I was hanging around the Jets when I was like a 12th grader.
Oh, okay.
And I made a lot of relationships there, and it was just meant to be. Like, I had this niche there in place. It was just a matter of, what am I going to use it for? What am I going to do with it? And that's what I did. That's how I got started.
Wow, awesome. So what now? You said you started with somebody else? And then...
Yeah, I started with an individual, and he ended up moving to Dallas. I'm now with a partner. His name is Chris Muro, and we have an office here in New York, and we have one down in Boca Raton, Florida. But we work with everybody all over the country.
Yeah.
So it keeps us moving. I spend a lot of time in the air. I travel quite a bit.
Okay. How long has the company been around for?
Now, almost 30 years.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, Big Daddy. That's really great.
Thank you.
So getting into that, how did you get the nickname Big Daddy?
When I went to Maryland, a guy who was 6'9", 340, I met him and I said, "Man, Big Daddy." And he goes, "Listen, no, I already have my nickname. Your daddy brought you here," meaning our position coach. He goes, "You're Big Daddy." And I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
And that's how I got it.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like stuck. It's like having a tattoo.
Sure.
So, but I mean, there's worse names in life, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, it's great.
It's a good moniker.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely. Talking a little bit about the industry and everything, Big Daddy, how has the industry evolved and changed for athletes since you started?
Well, in the beginning, I was kind of one of the early guys that was, I'll use this as an example. You have a collegiate game. It's called the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
So there, the NFL teams, everyone from the NFL, even the 2 coaching staffs are NFL staffs. So that's where I would go to meet the up-and-coming guys that were coming into the league. And it wasn't that big of a deal 30-something years ago. I don't go any longer because I've already put my time in, and, I'm fortunate to have social media and all the press clippings and whatnot.
Yeah.
So people know who I am, what I do, and but it has been different because the amounts of insurance, the education process is always the biggest thing. Insurance people have a stigma. They're sleazy. They just want to make a sale and worry about the next sale. And it's not like that. We don't do that at all. We try to educate the client. Most of the times it's the agent or the parent that you have to educate, then the potential insuree.
Sure.
So, but that's been the whole change where in the past, you wouldn't even meet the client. Like I'd get phone calls from agents, insure this one, and then it's funny. I'll give you an example. Troy Polamalu used to play for the Steelers. I had worked with him, and I'd never met him.
Yeah.
And then we go to this black tie dinner that he gets inducted into the NCAA Hall of Fame. And I said, "Hey, Troy, how you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, what's your name?" I said, "Rich Salgado." And I go, "But I'm Big Daddy." And he goes, "The insurance guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm the guy." And he gives me a hug, and it was kind of, and that's happened quite a bit. I could share another story. It's even funnier, but
Please,
it's my brother's. He was coaching with the NFL at the Bills at the time. So how many times I would go to, like I went to Buffalo one time, and Vaughn Miller had just signed there, and he's a guy that I worked with. Okay. So he's like, "Hey, what are you doing up here?" And I'm like, "Well, I came to visit you." And he goes, "Oh, you didn't come to visit me." I go, "Yeah, I didn't actually. I came to visit him." He goes, "How do you know him?" I go, "That's my brother." What? Because no one puts my real name.
Sure.
They always just use Big Daddy.
Big Daddy, yeah.
So I've done that to like quite a few people. We get a big kick out of it. But and getting back to your question, it's still a big process. And it's a message that we try to get across to everyone daily, because there is a need for it. Yep. And, there's a need for insurance for everyone.
Sure.
Because no matter who you are, what you do, how much you make, you have the need. It's just a matter of having the right person educate you on exactly what you need and do it in an economical fashion that doesn't benefit me.
Sure.
It benefits you,
Yep.
That's why we always say we don't work for the company. We work for you.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And you talked a little bit too, Big Daddy, before we got on air about you have all different types of clients, right?
I have a mailman as a client. I have, female clients that their own business owners. There's, then there's the Fortune 500 companies. We have 2 billionaires are clients. I mean, it's just a whole diverse, and I always share with people, listen, I will work with you. If you need my help or my partner's help, we will help you. don't feel that you can't call or email or any of those things, because it doesn't work that way. I am in the business to help you protect your home, your car, your family, your business, whatever it is that needs insurance. We will take a look at, we will consult, and if we can't help you, we'll be the first ones to tell you we can't. We're not going to take business just to take it on.
And that's great. That's a great business mindset and approach to have to things, Big Daddy, you know, just to help people out. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, what advice would you give to young athletes regarding financial planning and insurance?
I think it's important that you take care of it at an early age, because if you want to talk about cost, that's always the biggest thing. Like, you know, we don't invest people's money. We're not into doing that. You know, you're going to be rich. Our job is to help you stay rich. Even after you're done playing, you know, we're not going to manage money. That's a pick and choose kind of game. And you have more of a need from what I could bring you than what someone else can. And that's the education that we try to show these kids. And the biggest thing is that, remember, most of these kids don't come from no money. So when they get money, they either spend or they entrust somebody else to watch it for them. And a lot of times, here's the best example. I had a client say to me, he goes, my mother's my financial advisor. Okay. I said, well, let's just cut to the chase. I said, if you invest with your mom $2 million and she loses you $1 million by some investments that whatever, are you going to be able to fire her? I go, think about that.
Yeah.
Will you fire her because she just lost you $1 million? And about 5 minutes later, he goes, man, I didn't think of it that way. He got quiet, but he didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
And when you get someone, when you have all these athletes, they always have some watchdog or some person that wants to be there or whatever. And I always tell them, I'm like, what qualifies you to tell me how to do my job?
Sure.
When I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And I have a roster of names that most people would kill to have. And, you know, then that's when it gets a little, you know, combative, so to speak. They, you know, they're trying to protect their property. And I'm like, look, I'm not trying to take your job. You're a full-time babysitter. I'm not a babysitter. We don't babysit people. We deal with people that want to do business the right way. And there's nothing shady about it. And there's no payoffs or handoffs or any of those things. We are insurance consultants, and that's what we do. And that's all we want to do.
Yeah. Great. No, that's it. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Any common misconceptions that athletes have about insurance?
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't need it. It's too expensive. There's, what do you need insurance for? And I'm like, well, let me ask you this. I said, okay, you're telling your client that he doesn't need it. Well, he just signed a $50 million contract. What are you talking about? He has a estate planning issue right off the bat.
Yeah.
So how could you say, and don't give me this, oh, well, the election, this and that. That's BS. There's a need, and we're there to help fix the need, or try to lessen the load from whatever taxation you may have. And you never know. God forbid, something can happen to anybody.
Sure.
It happens every day.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Any challenges that you've faced, you know, over the last 30 years? And how did you overcome them?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you it's like I say to you, get up in Yankee Stadium, get up to bat, and take your best swing. And that's what happens. You know, sometimes you strike out, sometimes you get a hit. And we're not interested in home runs all the time. It's my partner Chris always says to me, he goes, remember, singles, doubles. And I'm like, I get it. I get it, you know. But the challenge is always trying to defeat the insurance thing, because these guys get so caught up in, I got to get a car, I got to get a house, I got to get my mom a house, I got to get her a car. And that's great. And listen, if I would have made it into the NFL, I would have been doing the same thing. Yeah. But protect your house first.
Sure.
You know, and the other thing I would tell an athlete is, you know, start working to spend your money in your next deal. Get to the second deal. Yeah. Don't worry about the first one. You know, don't go overspend. Don't go throw all your money around. You don't know if you're going to get to a next deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to be smart about it.
Yeah, you got to be smart about it.
Well, you're really known, Big Daddy, for your philanthropic efforts and everything, particularly with charity events. What drives you to give back to the community?
It's important because I feel that being in the position that I'm in, and I'm being fortunate and blessed to work with some of these big names and have relationships.
Yeah.
Obviously, this it's well documented. I got this scar here. It's like my tattoo, I say. And I had an aneurysm, and a friend of mine and I decided to do a fundraiser after the doctor had said to me, "You could really help us." And I took some time to think about it, and I did my first golf outing. We pulled it off in 4 months.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we were like hustling.
Especially for an event like that.
Yeah, and it got, we had you name it was there. Jason Kidd, Mike Tyson, Michael Strahan, Bernard Hopkins. It was North Shore's own Adam Schefter. I mean, it was a whole who's who. And so that kind of got us started. And then we took a break because of we were doing it at Oheka Castle, and they were renovating, and the country club was getting renovated. So, and then obviously COVID hit, and then after COVID, one of my closest and dearest people in my life her name is Angelika Steen Olsen, and she said to me, "You need to bring this back." And at first I was real hesitant. I'm like, "Ugh, this is a lot of work, and it's, you're calling in favors and you're asking clients." And fortunately it worked out. We were able to pull it off. And then we formed a relationship with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which is a place near and dear to me. I've been there, I visited. I became friends with one of the patients. And at this past June's event, I brought in that patient. I flew him up, and he was we highlighted him at the golf gala, and so
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so it's I think it's important to give back when you can give back, and I always steal this line from Don Voltaggio. He's the founder and CEO of Arizona Iced Tea. He says, "When you think you've given enough, give more." That's always stuck in my head for a long time, and I think it's important to give back.
No, it absolutely is. And you've certainly done enough of that. You've rubbed elbows with all types of celebrities, been on all sports programs, but our executive director, Eric, had reached out to you, and you really didn't think twice about coming in. Small North Shore studio here, not all the bells and the whistles, but you really...
Erica, where's the champagne lobster?
Yeah, right?
Come on. Shame on you.
I think that's waiting for us after,
Yeah, exactly.
But you really didn't think twice about that, Big Daddy, and why is that?
Because I don't want anyone to ever think that I'm bigger than life, because I'm not. I'm just, what you see is what you get. Yeah. And it's just important to do that. Yeah. I grew up here. My heart is here. So I don't see it as a big thing. I just was like, okay, let me do it.
Yeah. It's just part of you. Yeah. Who you are, which is great. How do you maintain a work-life balance? You talked a lot about being in the plane, up in the air. So, especially given the demands of your career. So talk to us about that.
It's funny. I sit, like this morning, I get up, work out, I come back, and I'm like, all right, I got to have coffee, take a shower. And then I sit in front of my calendar, and I'm like, man, I got to do this today. I got to do, and I'm like saying, I got to be in 4 different places just in one day, and then I have a day where I don't have anything going on, and that's where I kind of take personal time and do what I need to do. And then I could have, for instance, I have to go to the West Coast. Okay. And I'll be out there for 4 days, and it depends on where the business is, where it takes you. Sure. And then having an office in Florida, I have to go down there, and my partner and I, we have meetings and we get things done with other people and whatnot. So there's never a dull moment.
Sure.
You know, and then the obligations that I have doing TV, that also comes into play. And, you know, and then something comes up or someone wants you to do something, which I've got a ton of asks. And you got to sit there and evaluate, you know. I've learned that now you can't do everything. You've got to pick and choose.
Sure.
And it has to make sense both, you know, economically, business-wise, and time-wise.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, besides your downtime, I know that you're also an ambassador of a really important group to you. What is that?
It's called the Share Empowerment Group, the Share Women's Empowerment Group.
Great.
I am an ambassador. I mentioned her name before, Angelika Steen-Olsen. She's the CEO and founder of it. And, you know, it's he for she, and it's about men supporting women. You know, what they say, behind every good man is a great woman.
Yep.
And they're a firm believer of that. And I believe it too, because, you know, look, at the end of the day, you see this whole picture of me and, you know, social media. And I don't own a plane. I do not own a helicopter. You know, I ride the trains like everybody else, and I drive. But, you know, there's the perks, and there's a lot of good stuff that comes out of it. And, you know, again, it's about sharing my experiences and what things I'm able to, you know, share with people. You know, you don't share everything, but you can share as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely. And just being able to give back what you can give back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So over the years, you've worked with a lot of high-profile celebrities and clientele. Is there any memorable experiences or story? I know you shared 2 stories before, but anything that really like sticks out in your mind?
There's so many. I mean, I you know, I got to be honest. When you're able to drink out of the Stanley Cup, I've gotten to do that. I've gone as far as Alaska to do that. You know, our client this past weekend, Sergei Bobrovsky, the goalie for the Florida Panthers, I couldn't make it down for his day with the cup, but my partner went. And but you know, those are memorable moments. And then being on the field in 2007 when the Giants beat the Patriots, that feeling. You know what? It was funny. The week before in Green Bay, or 2 weeks before in Green Bay, I forget. You know, that was because it was so cold out.
Yeah.
And like,
it was an ice game, I thought, or something along those lines.
It was like 30 below.
Yeah.
And being on that field, well, I will say this because I know someone watching this will be like, you weren't on the field the whole time. You were in a suite. And yes, I was inside the stadium.
Yeah.
And I came out right before the fourth quarter ended because the Giants were going to kick a field goal to win the game. Well, he misses, and the game goes into overtime. So I watched the overtime period, and then obviously they kick the field goal and they win. And just to be on that field with everyone, you know, being so happy that they were going to the Super Bowl was great. But being in Arizona and being on that field afterwards, winning, that's a moment that I'll never forget.
Yeah. I think for anybody that's a New York Giant fan, they'll never forget that moment. You know, I mean, really, the Tyree catch. I mean, so many just wonderful. And that was, I'm almost positive that was the season where it was the 18 wins for the Patriots and one Giant loss.
That's right.
You know, and so like I always remember that.
Yeah, you know, that, and obviously I have a relationship with a lot of people around the league. So for me, you know, the 18th, the game where they lost the last game of the year against New England. Oh yeah. You know, you're like, oh, okay, well, you know, New England's legit, but the Giants still could have won, and you know, but it was that was a hell of a year, and then to be able to do it again in 2011, you're like, man, Merry Christmas. I mean, you can't, and to have a local vendor like Umberto's Pizza be a part of that whole year, the whole Super Bowl, they got so much exposure from that whole thing that, kudos to them. His son Gaetano flew down with the pizzas and,
that's awesome.
To keep the tradition, the weekly thing going that they had. And so those are three memorable moments in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, Big Daddy. That's great. So where are you going now? What are your future goals, both personally, professionally?
Well, professionally, it's always growing the brand, keeping the brand out in front. And I think we do a good job of that. We use social media. I have the luxury or the what do you call it? What's the word I want to use? Fortunate to be in front of the media pretty much quite a bit every week.
Yeah.
And that lets you expand your name and get out there. I mean, obviously, the NBC Today show did a huge piece on me a couple weeks ago, and that was really game-changing as well because, again, it put me out in front. It put our company out in front and lets people know who I am and what I do. And as far as personally, I have a children's book coming out.
Oh, awesome.
And it's going to be called Big Daddy Says.
Cute.
And, without giving out too much, but we're targeting the inner city and minorities, kids ages 6 to 10.
Great.
And the theme of it is like I shared with you before we went on, kids can have role models, but those role models don't have to be celebrities or professional athletes.
Totally.
I want a child, and I'm even going to do this, go to schools with the books, and I want to share with a kid and say, look, if you really want to be an astronaut, you could be one.
Yeah.
If you want to be a football player, you want to be there, you want to be a doctor, you can do those things. Don't let anyone else tell you you can't, because I'm living proof of what could be done if you put your mind to it.
Yeah.
Minority, learning disabled. I put the work in because I did a postgraduate year. Okay. Before I went to Maryland. So I needed to learn how to study for school.
Sure.
In like 3 months, maybe more, a month.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you go from this carefree to you go to postgraduate, it's like you're in boot camp and you're in a uniform and, people are telling you can't watch TV. Every night was study hall, Monday through Friday, 7 to 10 every night.
Oh, wow.
Regardless if you had any homework to do or not. So you were reading and learning and, complaining at the same time.
Yeah.
You're like, why didn't I just study when I was in high school? So it's, like I say, anyone could do whatever they want if they put their mind to it.
For sure.
I have a hard time with, look, I get there's people that have ADD and this and, whatever. But I'm like, listen, you could overcome those things either with strength or medicine or help. Go get it if you need to. But because you're going to get left behind. And I feel bad for those kind of people because you want to help them, but they can only help so much.
Yeah. They got to want the help themselves.
Yeah.
And I liked what you said there too before, Big Daddy, about, not needing to be necessarily somebody famous or a celebrity to be a role model. Because there's so many role models that I think a lot of us encounter that we don't think about the impact that they've had on us. Even like people in the past, I have teachers and mentors that I could, speak of that I specifically remember, and it was like that one moment or just something that they had said, and it just completely changed my life.
Yeah.
And I think that that's beautiful, especially having a children's book like that, especially that young age, very impressionable, ages 6 through 10.
Yeah.
Especially with social media being out there now, that's a conversation for another time. There's positive and negative things about that.
Yeah.
But I think that it's so important to be able to have those words of affirmation and just words of encouragement more so of like, you can do this. I can.
And the book is going to point out where someone asked to do one thing, and I'm going to be like, look at this guy right here, or look at this lady right here. She did it. He did it.
Yeah.
So you could do it too.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you can't.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think it's positive reinforcement, and it's a good thing. And it's a way to give back as well.
Yeah.
No,
definitely. So we have time for one more question. I'll say, can you share a motto or philosophy that you live by?
Shyness costs you money.
Okay.
I really, I believe in that, and I also believe in eliminate distraction. I'll give you the best example. You have a tragedy, or you have a moment that is unexpected, but you still have to live life. And I was married, got divorced, and for a while I was like, wow, I can't believe this is over, but it's over. And then I would go about my day, and then at night is when I'd really think about that.
Sure.
But no, and then I'm like, I got to get up. I got to go back to work, So I think the key to success is when you have a goal in mind, eliminate distraction, because that's only going to get in your way from reaching your goal. And so those are two things. And then I live by now even more and more, surround yourself with the right people.
Definitely.
It's just, you get hanger-oners, everyone wants a favor. I got to the point where I was joking around, you want a friend, get a dog, because I don't have the time. It's like, what little time I have, I have to try to do something
for you,
for me. It's like, I joke around, I said if I had the female version of me, I'd marry her. Because then she would understand.
Totally.
So it's, but it's the time. We only have so much time, and you can't make up time. So you have to be productive in using your time, and make it worth your while, and make sure you have a healthy lifestyle. Try to live as long as possible. And I'm a Catholic, so I believe in God. I'm a big believer in it, and I got baptized. I got confirmed 3 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah,
Awesome.
It was funny because tragically I went to a funeral, and I was sitting there, and I was kind of the last one to walk out, and the priest was standing there, and I said, "Father, I have to ask you something," and I'm kind of embarrassed, but he goes, "No, ask away." I said, I was baptized, I made my communion, but I never made my confirmation. Well, what are we doing standing here? Let's go. So, I had to do like a 3-hour session on a Saturday night.
Okay, sure.
While the church is full of people. So it was kind of like, I felt like this a little. Because I'm like, I thought this was a one-on-one thing. And he was like, no. He goes, what was funny was, he goes, and Big Daddy, he says, don't worry. I'm not going to try to pick you up and put you in the back. I said, yeah, because the water will probably overflow. You'll blow your back out, and I'll break the bowl.
Oh, my God.
So yeah, we had a good laugh about that. But that was a real special time for me. And because, you know what it was? I felt like the Spirit came into me right there and then. Yeah. And so I'm a big believer in, going to church. And,
definitely. So now your confirmation name wasn't Big Daddy, though.
No, it was not. It was actually Michael. So
great. Yeah.
So that was
good, strong name.
Yeah, easy, simple.
Yep.
Not forgettable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Big Daddy, it's been such a pleasure sitting down and talking with you. I really want to thank you again. Thank you for watching Access Spotlight. I'm Travis Yussef, and have a great night.